like to know where Lou Holtz is right now.
Well, I win. Google me.
We're not hosting an intergalactic kegger down here.
Here's the snap, staying back to throw again. Pressure comes, rolls to his right. Tries to run with it, throws it down the field. It is tipped up in the air, and that's the ball game right there. Indiana wins! Indiana has beaten the Ohio State Buckeyes, the #1 team in the country. The Hoosiers have beaten the Buckeyes, and Indiana is going to the college football playoff, and they're going to get a bye. Unbelievable.
I don't think we've ever had Hoosiers radio with the call.
Babe Laufenberg yesterday.
Oh, man.
At the Sandlot charity event for the first time since he went there.
Yes.
Broke out the Indiana letter jacket. That bad boy was sweet.
Yeah, it was. It had that nostalgia to it, that 70s look.
That Al Bundy letter.
Polyester with the fuzzy letter that it had there.
Yeah.
Sewn on with very thick thread. Wonderful thread they used to make back then. But Indiana, congrats to them.
Ooh.
They beat Ohio State, and this is a
in your effing face, Paul Feinbaum.
No, right
in your spectacles.
Well, he still doesn't think they're very good. Maybe get to that a little bit later. But for Indiana to win the Big Ten championship is something that the college there's that meme, the European mind cannot comprehend, and it's just someone in a big giant pickup truck. They just can't comprehend that, right? They can't comprehend just driving down the street, going to the store. They would walk.
The 1 seed.
This is the college football mind cannot comprehend this. The college football fan cannot comprehend that Indiana is the overall #1 seed in college football and just beat an Ohio State team where everyone to a man was saying, A, why is the spread only 4? And B, this is a better team than last year's team that won the national championship. Crazy. And Indiana took it to them. Now, it wasn't a blowout by any stretch. It was a very tightly contested game.
13-10.
But to hold Ohio State to 10 points? We knew about Coach Sig and the offense, right? The offense what was fun. To hold them to 10 points?
Yeah, Joey Galloway yesterday was like, I was not familiar with your game defensively.
Right.
And you said Kurt. I think by mistake, maybe you're talking about Cignetti, but I'm going to take it to Kirk Cousins because this is the post-game audio that reminded everyone of the Falcons quarterback with now all of a sudden, and you and I agree on this, which we'll get to it in a minute, the new favorite to win the Heisman.
I want to give all the glory to God. We were never supposed to be in this position, but by the glory of God, the great coaches, great teammates, everyone we have around us, we were able to pull this off. Whoever thought the Hoosiers would be here, but now the Hoosiers are flipping champs. Let's go!
You guys call yourself a bunch of misfits who found the right home at Indiana. Why was this the right place for this group?
It's the right place for process-oriented. We're going day by day. Whether it's the offensive line, the defense, the coaches, special teams, we're all process-oriented to one goal. That's our thing, is we're brothers. We can drag teams into the deep end because we know that we're going to stick together and we're the strongest glue ever.
That is Fernando Mendoza.
I've never seen a post-game interview where the guy looks at the camera. You're usually looking at the interviewer. You're looking at Rinaldi or Rowe, whoever, right?
We're flipping champs. Let's go.
Let's go. And then he's sitting there looking right in the camera the whole time, giving like his speech.
I do not understand, though, and I know you agree, how all of a sudden you score 13 points and all the Vegas odds flip. Diego Pavia, who I was questioning even as a Vanderbilt supporter with my godson there, I was like, really? Diego Pavia is the best player in college football. He was the favorite across the board last week in Vegas, and now it's Fernando.
Yeah, and they called it his Heisman moment. And I'm like, guys, you can't be scoring 13 points in a game and say, that's your Heisman moment.
And we're the strongest glue ever.
And Pavia didn't even fall to second. He's in third behind Sand.
And like, if they're going to make it to where, this is just like this game meant whoever won this game was going to win the Heisman, then just give it to the quarterback on the only undefeated team, because that's what this is. And I don't look if he wins it, I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, there's not a clear front runner.
Yeah,
but don't say this was a Heisman moment.
The flipping of this made as much sense as Miami and Notre Dame as we go through the rest of the CFP rankings, and I love all the arguing and all the debate. Indiana comes in at 1. The Ohio State Buckeyes come in at number 2. You were actually tweeting you thought Georgia could be in this spot.
Thought so. I wasn't sure how they were going to deal with the loss in a conference championship game. And this gave us, when Ohio State only dropped to 2, all they did was flip-flop Ohio State Indiana. Because Indiana was number 2, Ohio State was 1. The winner of that game, I think if Ohio State won, Indiana stays at 2. The way they did it. The moment Ohio State only dropped to 2, I was like, ooh, Bama's in. Bama's going to be in because they're showing that a loss isn't dropping you. The only reason why Ohio State dropped is because they lost to the team that beat them. So that first thing, I was like, okay. That's how they're going to view these conference title games. They're only using them to boost you, if anything.
Except for BYU. BYU gets punished.
Although, did they? Because they were not in anyway. Right? They were not, because of the automatic qualifiers, the 5.
Yeah.
They still would have been the odd man out.
Okay.
So the only thing they did is they flip-flopped them in Miami.
Georgia comes in at number 3, Texas Tech at 4. I heard Maggie Gray this morning questioning, and I kind of agree with her. Did Oregon get a gift here at 5?
Yeah.
What did Oregon do throughout their season? They beat Penn State, who fell apart.
They beat USC at the end of the year.
Who cares?
They struggled with Iowa, but I believe that was a torrential downpour on the road.
Okay.
They lost to Indiana at home when they were favored. So, yeah, I mean, if you wanted to compare them to a Texas A&M or an Ole Miss, yeah, you could absolutely make that case. I think Tech fans got robbed.
I was surprised, actually, that USC was 15, so that is a top 15 win.
Yeah, it's a decent win. Tech getting the bye, they want the bye. Everybody wants the bye. That would have been such a scene in Lubbock.
Tortillas everywhere because the Big 12 could not sit there and police that game.
That's right.
Rob the tortilla. Mission's going to go out of business now.
They're going to go out of business. But no, they're going to have plenty. They'll have plenty of tortillas in Miami. They'll bring them all. They'll bring a truckload of Mission tortillas to Miami.
Oregon, they might not need to bring a truckload. You're in Miami.
Yeah, that's right.
Oregon at 5. Ole Miss at 6. Texas A&M at 7.
I was curious how they were going to do this. Now, obviously, neither team played, so they had kind of basically had them where they were last week, we thought. I mean, they changed things up with Notre Dame Miami. But should they have, I don't want to say punished Ole Miss, but were you surprised they didn't move them at all based on the kind of the turmoil within their coaching staff?
I wasn't surprised because to me, and I know it's in the bylaws, if you lose a coach or a player, they may as well remove the coach thing because the look and feel of punishing them for the coaches leaving would have been so bad. So much worse than you losing your quarterback. Mm-hmm. Now, is it impactful? Of course it's impactful, but I think the punishment and hurting those kids to that degree for the scandalous stuff that happened with Lane Kiffin and LSU, they can't go there. I don't think that they can go there and they can't punish. And now I think you have basically half the field who has their coach moving on somewhere else, whether they're staying or not.
The Tulane Ole Miss game is the no coach bowl. Neither one. I mean, Summerall has already moved on.
What a joke.
To go to Florida.
Yeah.
No, he's staying to coach them.
Yep.
And he's locked in. He's locked in. I gotta be honest here. He's locked in on this thing. That is a tricky game for Ole Miss, even though they've already played and they beat them 45-10. I don't expect it to be 45-10.
And you can also blame Ole Miss a little bit because Summerall School and these other schools are like, we're fine with you staying. Ole Miss was so LSU rival. They were so butthurt. They're like, no, you're a traitor. You stabbed us in the back. You cannot stick around anymore, even though Lane was trying to do it, or at least that's what he said publicly. So the Aggies are at 7, Oklahoma 8, and Bobby's Alabama Crimson Tide, and he was on it last week, and many people were tweeting and saying the same thing yesterday, that the tracks were greased for Alabama to stay in this thing, even though they get pummeled in the SEC championship. Bama's 9.
Bama's 9. I don't have a major issue with it. They were not going to punish the Big Ten or the SEC championship game loser. That's just evident. They were not going to do that. They were going to keep them there. And, everybody, I am so stunned at the people on ESPN. I know they've got to have a show they've got to promote and create drama for. But the incessant talking about, well, what are they going to do about Alabama? Well, we knew what they were going to do about Alabama because they were not going to punish. They were not going to sit there and say, well, Alabama's a 3-loss team now, and so is Texas. You got to put them again against them. They're not a 3-loss team. They're a 2-loss team that played an extra game. Ohio State's not a 1-loss team. Ohio State's an undefeated team that had to play an extra game. Like, we're not counting these losses.
Right.
That's just the reality of it.
Alabama 9, the Miami Hurricanes. This is really where everybody started to go crazy because of that Notre Dame Miami discussion. The Canes come in at 10 with Notre Dame at...
Well, they were technically 11,
yeah.
But since the 2 qualifiers, they wound up being the 13th team in. And look, this is one of those situations where they got it wrong in order to get it right. And they did. They got it right at the end. Head-to-head matters. Head-to-head should have mattered. But you can't sit here on the 12th hour and tell me that Miami is all of a sudden better than Notre Dame when for 6 weeks you've been telling me that head-to-head doesn't matter.
Why did they do that?
I have not create drama. The committee looks like this is they look like they're just playing with us. Like this is they just opened up the fourth wall and told us this is a made-for-TV event. This isn't real life. Because for 6 weeks you sat here and said, these two aren't even on the same level. We would make head-to-head matter if these two were even remotely close. But they're not. And they said that they're not. They told us they were 6 to 8 spots different, 6 weeks ago. But now here we are, and all of a sudden Miami and Notre Dame, who didn't play, now Miami's better? Okay. All right, they should be in because they beat them head-to-head.
Your problem is just with the previous ranking.
My problem is just with the process, the previous rankings to get here. You told us for 6 weeks Notre Dme was the better team. Absent conviction.
Last week, he was the bad guy in his home zip code. RJ Choppy could not walk the streets of Denton or even go out to eat. And yesterday, he was getting a lot of support, especially when the spreads came out, for Tulane against Ole Miss as the 11 versus the 6, and then the 12 with James Madison against Oregon, both double-digit dogs.
Yeah, we're looking at a 16.5-point spread, and then some
21.5.
Yeah, 21.5. And then this is the next question. And Saban was kind of on this during the selection show. Are you going to have one group of 5, 2 group of 5, automatic qualifiers, or are you just going to have the best 12 teams? Because you can't tell me that James Madison beats Notre Dame.
Right.
It's just not good. Notre Dame is a better team. They're just a better football team. Miami's a better football team. Vanderbilt is a better football team. Tulane, they had a great season. They all did. They all had great seasons. Now, both of them are losing their coaches. So the James Madison coach is going to UCLA, and then obviously the Tulane coach is going to Florida. So they've already lost their coach, but they're still sticking around. They're sticking around to coach these teams. It's just now, this is the next discussion, what are we going to do moving forward? Because if these two games are blowouts, and I mean bad, if it's bad, it looks bullyish.
Yep.
I could deal with SMU and Tennessee and Indiana, and who else lost the first game? Clemson. I could deal with those teams getting embarrassed in the playoff last year. They're big boy programs. This will look bullyish.